Welcome everyone to Fuzz TV. I am Peter, that is Tara. We talk about TV shows here. The year is 2023 and the name of the show is Babylon 5. This is going to be season 5, episode 17. It's called Movements of Fire and Shadow. So full spoilers for the episode, as always. And yeah, it's the first one we recorded in 2023, so I paused, I hesitated for a brief moment, but yeah, bit of a crescendo episode, builds up to some big things by the end. Things are kind of really coming together in this new war with the Centauri. Some characters are more aware of things, not necessarily all the details, but they're certainly getting on the right track of sort of who might be behind the war, that it may not just be the Centauri, that there's more to it than that. Something that we've kind of known to some extent for quite some time. And some other plots. Also, Lita's scary as shit now, so all that going on. What did you think of the episode, Tara?
Yeah, I definitely, when it ended, I went, ooh, I want more, because it ends on quite a note. I think overall, the show is just a little too heavy on the plot lines. Like, everything is just happening at once, and I almost wish that there was like a previously on before so I can keep track of everything. And I know we don't do the episodes every week anymore, and sometimes things get delayed because of, things we can't help, but
Christmas in this case.
Yeah, Christmas, or just like, sometimes my work schedule can be a bit rough to work around. But yeah, a lot happened in this episode. A lot.
There was a lot of moving parts. Yeah, there's a lot of plot lines going on. There's obviously stuff on the Sheridan on the station. There's a plot line with Lita and Franklin getting off to the same sets that Garibaldi was on the Drazi homeworld.
I love the note of like, oh, Garibaldi gave us the name of a great hotel. I'm like, it wasn't that great.
He got shot.
His friend died. He got attacked easily, and but I understand that the set is still available. Yes,
because even when they started walking down these like narrow alleyways, I went, oh yes, they're getting to reuse these alleys, like which I assume they knew they were going to do, which is why it was worth building them in the first place, because it's like, oh, it's not just for this Garibaldi episode, we've got like 3 or 4 episodes in mind for the whole season, so it's worth building them now.
Yeah, or maybe one of these made for TV movies that we're gonna have to watch soon.
But yeah, I think the first one, or not the first one, we did it in the beginning already, but the next one we're doing is next. So, which isn't set next, but it was aired next, which is why we're doing it next, just in case anyone's confused. So we have
the cliffhanger for a little bit longer?
We have to hold on the cliffhanger for an extra little bit. And there was a bit of a gap in the air dates as well, so we can feel the weight, the painful weight of like paying off the cliffhanger. I guess we'll start with Lita and Franklin stuff. It basically comes out of the Veer's sort of, he makes a request because all this fighting's going on, and we see glimpses of it at the start of the episode at the Drazi border. Centauri ships are firing on them, they're firing on the Centauri, and the rules of war dictate that you hand over the dead bodies of the enemy to their home people so they can go home and be buried, whatever. But that's not happening, and Veer's concerned. He thinks something else might be going on, and he asks Franklin, because he's the head of the Alliance sort of medical side of things, to go and check it out, and maybe Lita, if they're lying, can pick up some stuff. And Lita's not messing around. She's like, I want 500 grand for doing this job. Not for herself, admittedly. Straight into the...
Go straight to the orphanage.
The Psy orphan.
Stray telepath, yeah.
So they go off there, and they get attacked again. Again, this hotel, not the most safe place in the world. That they try to, and Lita.
It's that balcony.
Yeah, they come in through the balcony. Lita just walks up to the guy, and I thought she was going to use her telekinesis on the gun or something, and instead she does something purely telepathic, where she makes him shoot himself in the head, and like, even Franklin's watching in horror, like, oh damn,
you could do that.
I ain't going to piss her off anymore.
Would Byron approve of this? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
She's not wearing her WWBD bracelet.
Oh, I don't know where you were going with that. But she does this to this Drazi assassin, and the Drazi that took them to the hotel room, they grab him and say, all right, take us where is going on. And what we find out in this plot, and this is like not actually that surprising to us, we wouldn't have guessed this specifically, but the idea that there's no actual Centauri on the ships and it's all just something else. They basically conclude that it's probably shadow tech that either the Centauri got their hands on, or more the right lines that they're getting to that we kind of already know is that a third party is using this shadow tech, and we know the Centauri are being controlled, and it makes sense they're not sending living beings on these ships, they're just sending the ships out on their own, and that's partly why not that many Centauri even know about it, because they're not sending Centauri soldiers or anything. You know, they're just sending the ships with these autopilot kind of pod things on them. So, because when they first walked in the room, we get the effect shot of like Franklin looking at all the tables with all these like black orbs on them, or not orbs, but more egg shape or oval shape, whatever. I thought, wait, are they like processing the bodies into some sort of weird substance? Like that was my first thought. And I was like, no, these are just like control
they're like a
pods.
brain of some type, right? Like they're controlling the drones that are Centauri ships.
Yeah, they said they're organic. Yeah.
Does that mean that the Centauri, like when they say that they don't know, that they didn't know about these attacks, that they're telling the truth?
Maybe. At least enough of them do. I'm not convinced that the Ministry of Defense guy that Londo goes to speak to, who was in the last episode, who's very...
The really smug one?
Yeah, he's very propaganda. He talks about propaganda a lot, but he's very propaganda himself. I feel like he is part of the enemy and he knows what's going on and he's just like spouting the lies. But I suspect that the reason why no one else is disputing him is because all of our pilots are here. Like, or they're all doing the defensive stuff that we've told them to do. Like, so yeah.
I guess I'm not exactly sure why the Drazi are wanting to do this. I mean, I think it's mentioned that they're profiting off of war, but it's not like entirely clear that why this amount of profit would be worth it to them.
Well, when you bring in the Drazi, under what context are we bringing them into the conversation?
Because the Drazi, I mean, they know about this, right? Because they're harboring this technology in order for the Centauri drones to go out. Because the one that they were like, held hostage was covering it up, and he knew what was going on. That's why Lita had to use her brain magic to get him to reveal it.
Yeah, I was a little unclear because it's implied that the Drazi might be in some way behind, like, wanting the Centauri to be like this, and maybe they're working direct. Because there's a scene, obviously this is sort of tied into their plot, but I triple checked this scene to try and tell if there was a Drazi in the scene, because he looked kind of Drazi-esque, but he actually looks a little bit different to the other Drazi. He's got extra bits at the side, so I don't know if he's just like an older Drazi, he's like a senior Drazi or something. But there's a scene with Londo where he gets abducted and I assume prepared for the transfer of the host being that's going to go on to him. He doesn't have it yet. He still seems to be, Londo after he wakes up, but seemingly they're preparing for this transfer. Which, by the way, I have to say, I am so sick and this is not Babylon 5's fault, but I am so sick and tired of the trope of something scary really happens and then they wake up and just think it was a nightmare. Like, I'm just I watch so many horror movies, I'm done with it. I'm just done with that trope. Okay, I'm just done with it. But yeah,
it's true. Maybe you don't really know when you fall asleep, but you think like Shakar and Londo were having a full-on conversation and doing stuff active, and then all of a sudden they were knocked out by a light. So, and when they come to, no one like acknowledges any of that.
I assume whatever they were given like erases like the immediate memory of right before they pass out.
Yeah, but if you lose time like that, wouldn't that terrify you? Yeah,
I would agree with that. I can only assume that they don't really realize that they've lost time, that they just feel like they've fallen asleep, and it's kind of murky, I guess. Maybe especially since they're in like they're in a cell where they can't see anything. There's no real indicator of like time, so all they really know is that they've woken up from sleep. Yeah, maybe
that's also a trope where I just can't. It's just too much now. Like,
oh sure, yeah.
Even if I've had years of, not that many years, but like, I had times where I would lose time because of partying, because of alcohol. So, but I know like the next day, like, oh crap, like I lost time. I need to know what happened. And I was always okay. Don't worry.
Yeah, good,
always had good people around me.
Good to add that on there to the end of that.
But you know, you wake up the next day and you're just like, oh shit. Oh, sorry. Oh no.
You can say shit, but not at the start of the video.
Okay. How did I get here? How did I get back in my bed? I don't remember coming home. This is a problem, you know, and you have to fill in that time, and it's terrifying, you know. You like, I remember going to bed last night. I don't remember falling asleep, but I remember like my routine. So you would think you would just have something to be like, hey, is yesterday kind of fuzzy to you? Did we get drugged or something? Was there something in our eggs last night that they fed us, in our bread and water?
Well, I mean, Jakar hawks up the eggs that they fed him last night.
I know.
As an excuse to get Londo out of the cell. Because Londo can leave whenever he wants. He's there by choice, effectively, because he doesn't want to leave Jakar's side. But
yeah, when the flash happens and they remove Londo, I immediately thought like, oh, it's just the government coming in to like remove him by force.
Yeah, and then obviously you get these alien creatures that we've seen. You know, we've seen them before. Obviously, we know that we've already seen them in relation to being behind what's going on in Centauri Prime. But we see 3 of them, so it's very alien abduction here. Is like Londo's on like a table and they're prodding him with things.
It's his fire in the sky moment.
yeah. I mean, it's not impossible because that movie was only a couple of years old when this came out, so it's not impossible that there's some inspiration from it. But
that movie affected a lot of people. I'm sure JMS watched it and be like, I have to remember this.
Yeah, but it's they're prodding at him, and we get
Plus
again.
It was the 90s. Everybody was talking about alien abductions in the 90s.
Yeah, but we get again. There's this other character there who is Drazi-esque, but he does look different. I went back and forth. Different. He has like extra bits at the side, so I don't know if he's just like related to Drazi.
A little bit more dinosaur-like.
Yeah, so
than Drazi.
He could just be a different species that's similar, and that's fair enough. But you know, it did occur to me to think about this though, because when Sheridan's bringing it up later and he's talking to Franklin and Lita about it, it's like, okay, so the Drazi benefit from wanting everyone to hate the Centauri, and that's why, because they talk a lot in this episode about how there's no real goal to everything the Centauri seem to be doing. Like, what are they actually gunning for? What are they aiming to achieve here? And it's like, no, the whole point is just to make everyone want to fight them. And the crux of this episode that it's building up to is that the Drazi have convinced the Narn to side with them to actually go after Centauri Prime, the homeworld, and launch an attack on the civilian population, which we know that the people behind, the alien beings that are controlling Centauri are behind it by the end, because the Regent says he was given instructions to drop the safety defense network and send away the ships. Like, he's opened the gates for this attack. Like, so the aliens behind him want this to happen. So let's say the Drazi are nefarious and they are a big part of this and they're behind it to a large extent. Is it possible that this alien species that are like doing the actual control and stuff and abducting Londo and stuff like that, is it possible that their deal with the Drazi is that they get to keep Centauri Prime for themselves after this is all done? Because they clearly don't care about the Centauri population. They're happy to let it be, blown to smithereens, which is what happens at the end of it. I actually really enjoyed the ending of Londo finding out what the Regent's done, and there's all these teases of they told me to do this, they've been telling me things, I'm about to die, and you're going to be Emperor. But when he learns that he's taken down the safety defense and he's sent away the ships, Londo runs out in panic, thinking, "Oh no! Like, what's about to happen is cataclysmic." And sure enough, the episode ends with all the ships firing. Sheridan's racing to try and stop it. He's not going to get there in time. But the ending's good. Like, this is like, I think as far as the end of an episode goes, this is probably my favorite last 5 minutes of an episode of the season, because it's just it builds up really nicely. Everything sort of comes together and.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Even the shot of Londo, like, looking up at the sky and seeing all the blue buttholes and going, oh, they're all here. I'm out of time.
Such an elegant way with words, Tara.
Portals.
Yeah, actually, there's a scene earlier on that I wanted to mention that I also went back and checked something, because I thought Garibaldi teleported into a scene out of nowhere. because of the way it was edited. It's the scene where Sheridan's got he's got Ethan Rayne from Buffy as an Arn here, right? He's like the Arn that's sitting at the table, and you've got a Drazi, and you've got another dude from another species, and they're talking about what's happening with all the attacks. And at the start of the scene in the wide shot where they're standing up, Garibaldi is there. I went back and checked. He is definitely in there before then. But the conversation goes on so long without ever showing him in any of the shots, and like it's all these just close-ups of all the different characters, that at one point when it just cuts to Garibaldi and he starts explaining something, I went, where did you come from? Garibaldi, where were you? And I went back, and he is there. He's in the wide shot when they're all standing up, but he didn't say anything, and then he's just not in any of the shots for so long that when it just cut to him, it felt like, wait, was he available on a different day? Did they not shoot him at the same time? Like, what? But so I don't know, it's like a minor quibble, but it was so jarring when it cut to him because I didn't think he was there that it just took me out the scene for a minute.
I thought for sure, because there's a moment where Sheridan's like, you have to get in contact with Garibaldi right away to be able to deliver this message, because otherwise, we're all in trouble. And I thought for sure we were going to end on Garibaldi
drunk,
empty bottles of wine or liquor or whatever around him, and he's not able to answer the call.
Losing tower time.
The what?
Losing tower time.
Yeah, we've all been there.
I've not.
Well, you don't get invited to parties.
I've never lost time in my life, although there's definitely times that I wish I lost.
Yeah, that we all. Time travel. Scarier than you might think.
I don't know if the comic effect of me trying to say that as dark as possible came across, but
don't call attention to it.
Wait, but you ever reacted to it? So I don't know if it came across correctly, if people actually think I'm like depressed about bad memories.
I didn't know I was your audience. I thought the audience was your audience.
Sometimes you're both my audience. Sometimes, like, I need to get a reaction out of you, and then both are parts of the show for the audience.
All right.
I've done many dark things.
You try it again, huh?
I'm just going back to the joke. I'm continuing it as a trend.
Okay. Who else do you want to talk about?
Delaney and Lanier are left for dead. They're on their way to try and get the Minbari to agree to build some White Star death ships. Not death ships, destroyers was the word I was looking for. I didn't think of it in time. Destroyers.
Destroyer.
Yeah. There's a destroyer hunting us.
I know. We'll never get away from Wing Commander. The movie will haunt us like a destroyer in space.
Yeah, if you've not seen Wing Commander, or more importantly, go watch our Atomic Cinema Experiment episode on Wing Commander for an explanation on that scene. But I can't hear destroyer as a ship and not think of that line.
With David Warner, who was in the episode Grail.
Yeah, he's not the one that says it though. It's Jürgen Prochnow who says it.
Still,
I can tell because even the way you say it when you're quoting it is Jürgen Prochnow's accent.
There's a little Das Boot in it, yeah.
So they get fired upon in the, how would you call it, when they're in, when they went through a jump gate and they're in the warp.
Hyperspace?
Hyperspace, I think that's right. It's just escaped my brain. They get attacked in there, and there's even an attempt at one point.
The red space.
Yeah, there's even an attempt at one point, because there's something the Centauri ships are starting to do, is try to destroy the jump gates, which they're like, hey, that'll like break down all of like the connected universe if all these jump gates go. What's interesting about that is that the jump gates we know came, at least they gave the Centauri, at least shared that tech with the humans. I don't know if it came originally from the Centauri, but it definitely gets shared to the humans from the Centauri. It is interesting.
You think it would have to be something from much older, right?
Possibly, yeah. What I was thinking about it though is like in the future that we've seen, where Londo's begging, like, save my people, and this is the future that we're getting to, that feels this tragic thing that we're building up to, is maybe they are cut off from the rest of the universe. Maybe like all of Centauri's like jump gates are all, maybe these aliens that are controlling them have intentionally destroyed them all, so the Centauri are cut off from help, and maybe that's why Londo is partially so desperate.
Well, there are ships that can create their own jump gate, though.
There are, yeah.
So, I mean, they could be cut off, but if they have a way to send a signal or to communicate still, yeah, you know, someone could come to them.
Yeah. But it's certainly more difficult because all the, like, yeah, the white stars can still go, for example.
They can't really evacuate unless they have,
sure, yeah.
like, something else in their solar system that they can go to.
It would take a lot of, like, other ships to come and help.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah. But yeah, maybe that's the main goal, is that it's so no one from Centauri Prime can, because they could probably destroy all of their jump ships if they want to, or at the very least, like, make them impossible for, like, civilians or whoever to get to, so that, because that's something I was thinking as well, is like, certainly right now, it doesn't feel like, other than some important people who are at the top of the food chain, it doesn't feel like all the Centauri are, like, you know, they're not all taken over by alien entities. Most of the population, certainly, if not most in general, are probably still just them that are being lied to, that are being controlled and manipulated. And I was thinking that in the future, that may still be true, that, like, the general population of the Centauri Prime in the future, most of them might still just be innocent Centauri who are just, like, enslaved by this alien race who are at the top and giving them orders and controlling them via, you know, the military or whatever it may be that they're using to, like, control the population. Which really does paint them as this tragic thing. It's like, as much as the Centauri as people have been cruel to the Narn all this time, does it make you feel good that they're facing a worse or similar fate from this other force? Not really. You know, the whole eye for an eye thing doesn't add up. It's like, no, this is still awful. The Centauri who are alive in the future, who are suffering this reign, probably were all children or not even born yet when the Narn were being imprisoned and enslaved, so it's not really fair to them that they have to go through all this. So, you know, there's some interesting thoughts that kind of come up when you think about it a little bit. But
yeah, I'm very excited to see the next episode and how it begins. It sort of ends on that cliffhanger, like best of both worlds, you know, the fire. But actually, we see the firing in this case. Yeah.
We don't see it hit the planet, but we see a lot of ships, like, you know, unleashing their laser beams and whatnot. Were you happy to see the return of Lockley after what feels like 5 or 6 episodes? It may not even be that many, but it felt like a few, because I recall you asking like a few episodes in a row of like, where's Lockley?
Yeah, well, I think I brought up, maybe it was last time, where like the speculation of if Ivanova was actually in charge, if she would be in more episodes.
She probably would have been, because I could see her just being at all the meetings with every like, if nothing else. But yeah, Lockley feels separate.
She sort of opened the episode too. I thought we would get like a Lockley centered episode, but she basically does her thing and then disappears for a while. But still, I'm glad that you know, her and Sheridan still had a meeting where they're like, let's catch up on the world events right now. The Babylon 5 events.
It pops in at 2 a.m. and is like, hey, by the way, I've arranged for all the White Stars to go and get involved in all the fighting, so they're probably going to retaliate. So be on, you know.
Does he pop in before or after he sends Delenn away? Because, you know, going to your ex-wife's place at 2 a.m. is not a good look.
I think... I don't know if she's actually left yet, but I think it's definitely after the conversation where he tells her that he needs to go. Which, by the way...
It was just a joke, though.
Yeah, but it does open with... he says, Delenn, we need to talk about something, and she's like, oh, is it about that thing you want me to wear? It just feels a bit silly, I'm embarrassed. And he's like, no, it's not about that. Not about that. Serious business.
It took a while for me to think of, like, underwear or, like, a teddy or something. Originally, I was just like, oh, he probably gave her earrings, and because they have weird, small, low earlobes, like, ugh, that would look weird. Ugh. They wouldn't put jewelry there. Call attention to that. What a horrible gift.
I don't know what it says about me, but I immediately went, oh no, he bought her something kinky to wear, and she's like,
yeah, you're probably right, because you know, it's written by nerds. I immediately went to earrings.
There's nothing wrong with him having a healthy sex drive and buying some lingerie for his wife. Perfectly normal behavior.
Sure.
Don't you wait. It's perfectly normal. Which I suppose answers the questions of like if the Minbari anatomy more or less lines up with human anatomy.
Yeah, maybe that's why it's odd for her to wear it. She's like, oh.
But my third boob just hangs out in the middle.
I know.
But yeah, so that's a bit of light comedy at the start of the episode, just before we get into the serious business, because it's not an episode with a lot of levity, obviously, because it's dealing with all the serious plots are all crescendoing. There's a little bit of humor with Jakar and Londo just because of their chemistry, but it's not for very long, because very quickly, it's here's the horror show of being abducted, and then here's Londo desperately trying to like change things in the parliament and being just told no at every turn. Like Londo talking to the ministry guy and being like, hey, we have to sort of go against the regent's orders here, and I'm saying, no, we're just doing defensive things, anything else is propaganda. I flash back to Chernobyl and like, no, we can't do this because that would mean admitting that we've done something wrong or that we made a mistake, kind of thing. So I was getting a lot of that. Even Londo in his position so high up is getting told no. It's interesting.
Dyatlov lives again.
I may also
didn't see graphite.
No. I may also have that on the brain because of something that happens in the new Quantum Leap episode that we're going to talk about after this one. But yes.
And also Last of Us.
And Last of Us is about to launch, yes, which I'm looking forward to.
Same writer.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I had a good time with a lot of the all the plots in this episode crescendoed, and I think they all kind of felt like they were all relevant to each other by the end of the episode, which I think is quite good writing. Like, by the time you get to the end and you realize how it all links up, Franklin and Lita's journey give you key information that lets other characters realize that it's not just that there's two armies or whatever racing to like bomb Centauri Prime. This context that the Centauri Prime themselves are a victim in this gives it this sort of sense of Sheridan's like racing to try and save them too now, because it's not which he already was doing because he didn't believe in attacking civilian targets, but now it's like, oh, it's even more bad now because now it's like they've been manipulated into this, and they're innocent of everything now, even though they've been villainized by everyone else. But it was so easy to do because of Centauri's like past. It's like it's easy to make you look the bad guys because you've kind of like given everyone the ammunition to set you up for it. So
yeah. No, I agree that it was a really plot heavy episode, and because this is a serialized show and literally everything is relevant, it was a bit overwhelming when I watched it. But I do think by the end I was very much on board. A lot of the comedy stuff just doesn't really work for me. Like even the Jakar, I love him, but like him throwing up and stuff was not, I don't know.
That's fair.
Or like Franklin, there's a war going on, but they want to send Franklin to do this other side mission thing. I know, like, it's good to get him out, like his character to do something. I'm sure the actor appreciates it also. And, don't sleep on Lita. Like, she's a powerful character that has been underused for a lot of the show, I think. So having them do something, I think was good, even if it did feel a little bit like a little forced, like their storyline in this.
It does make just to interject on that point specifically, do you think it's a little interesting that Veer thinks there's bodies to get back? But it shows you how little he knows. That it's one thing to think, oh, they're not giving them the bodies back, but it's like, okay, but what bodies are missing? Like which Centauri are on a list somewhere that are like, oh, they're missing in action? Technically that doesn't exist because no one's actually missing.
Huh. Yeah, I wonder if Veer is just like put in charge of this kind of thing, usually during this time of war, of like, okay, but are we getting the bodies back, like, or something, and has noticed that he's not getting them. I don't
actually think it's that he usually does this because he's kind of in Londo's old role now, right? So this is probably new for him. But I think this is just to show that he's still this caring person, that he's like saying, hey, are we not getting bodies back? And he's sort of looking into it, and now he wants people to go and investigate it because he can. Because that's the one thing we're not mentioning is at the start of the episode, it's made very clear that any Centauri on Babylon 5 are being attacked and they're getting killed.
Yes.
So he's in hiding. They've given him like another quarters where he's like...
I like this quarters too. Like, it's not one that we've seen before. Kind of have the ship, the naval ship thing where you get two beds on top of each other. I mean, it's three normally, but like he's a statesman, so he can have two.
Yeah, but you get the idea though that before he was in like a prestige room for like an important person, but they've hidden him here in like
this feels like this is like a medium tier.
Yeah, this is where maybe like senior crew or like Not even senior crew, just like crewmate live.
Yeah, ones that, have to share quarters with other people.
Yeah, which means 2 people get shoved out of the room.
Well, people are dying, so.
Yeah,
maybe there's an opening.
Hey, our bridge boy. I was about to say
we got Bridge Boy, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say our boy Bridge. I was like, no, that's not right. Our Bridge Boy was in the episode, because there's a whole thing where like they tried to destroy the jump gate at Babylon 5, and Lockley has to like command the fighters to do a bunch of stuff, and they do stop it, but there is damage. It's not going to work for a few days. So it's like a little intense action scene about halfway, maybe 2/3 out of the episode, to give it some fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, happy to see Bridge Boy.
Mm-hmm.
But we got Lockley, so I was kind of assuming we would get Bridge Boy. They're a pair.
Yeah, but you've noticed since this season though, he's got a new outfit. He's been given like a, he's kind of like the second in command on the bridge. He's definitely been promoted. So like, I know because the season finale was shot before season 5, so it won't, but I do love the idea of like if it was actually Ivanova coming back after being gone for a year and seeing how Bridge Boy's growing and how he's commanding the bridge now, and he's got that snazzy shirt on. Maybe
she'll be in the movie, the next movie we'll watch.
Well, she was in the beginning as well, yeah. So maybe she will be. I don't know.
With a weird wig.
Third Space is the name of the one we're doing next. It came to me. I couldn't remember the name earlier. Yeah, she may show up. Yeah, well, I think it's set either during season 4, maybe just before season 4, or something like that. People have told us in the comments numerous times. I can't remember, but it's not set now. Is the point?
Yeah. Okay. I guess they can't. I mean, the cliffhanger. You have to go to the next episode to conclude. So this movie would have to be separate.
Of course, yeah. Unless it was a character who's long gone that we could focus on away from everything. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, it's like a Bester movie. Like, Bester's on Earth doing stuff for a movie. I don't know.
Yeah. I want a Zach movie.
You want a Zach? Call it My Boy Zach.
A Day in the Life of Zach. Zach Allen. Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good episode. Like, I enjoyed this. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks for Third Space, and then a couple of weeks after that back to episode 18. So look forward to that. But yeah, so let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, all that stuff. You can get us on the Twitters at mail_fuzz for channel updates, and of course you can support us over at patreon.com/mailfuzztv and keep all the content coming. But that is us, so thank you once again. Keep watching Babylon 5, and just don't forget to give away the homeworld. Or don't give away the...
No, don't give it away.
Don't give away the homeworld. I'm mixing my different outros together. Just... Bridge Boy!